I am excited for today. Today we have Jane Fendelman in the house, and she's going to be sharing with us about all the feminine, masculine challenges and what we can do to really understand our men and for our men to understand us. So first of all, I want to thank all of you guys for being here. I just want to reiterate that whenever you are expanding yourself and learning more and how you can bring more peace into our world, you are affecting everyone you come into contact. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I came across Jane through one of my girlfriends, Lorraine. Lorraine has suggested, since I was having some challenges in my relationship, she said, you need to talk to Jane Fendelman. If Jane can't help you, no one can help you. And I thought, wow, that's pretty impressive. And so I read up a little bit about her and her bio, and I want to share that with you guys and let you know a little bit about Jane. Jane Fendelman is a counselor, author, speaker, has a Bachelor of Science degree in education, 1982, and a Master of Counseling degree in 1993. She has served more than 40,000 people and has 25 years of experience. Jane is an individual, marriage, couple, and child family specialist and is a twice certified hospice worker, grief counselor, critical incidence debriefing specialist, and an omni denominational minister. She is honored to serve by empowering you to face your fears and recognize your full potential. Jane Fendelman assists you in identifying subconscious and self-sabotaging patterns. So, Jane, I want to invite you to share with this beautiful group of women today how we can be more powerful in our feminine and kind of let go of being in that masculine so much. So please take it away.
Thank you so much, Ro. I am really honored to be here with all of you. Was so excited about coming up to this morning, and it's an amazing topic. So thank you for taking time out of your day to be here. So I want to talk to you about your feminine power. And I'd like to start by asking you, when Women's Lib happened and after, tell me, what were some of the great things that women's liberation brought us, women? Feel free to just pop in.
Well, we had more freedom to make up our own minds, to make our own decisions, to have our own credit cards.
Yeah.
To work in positions that maybe we had not been allowed to work in before.
Jobs. Yep.
Yes.
Independence.
Yep. Independence.
Potential to make a lot more money than we had been making.
Potential to make a lot more money. We fought for equal pay. So exactly. We got more freedoms. We made more money. We demanded equal pay. We demanded equal opportunities to get jobs that were previously just for men. We had more power even in our beloved relationships. So in olden days, women were considered the property of their father and then when they got married, their husband. In fact, there was a time, and in some cultures still is, where the father or the parents decide who you're going to marry. So we had all those new freedoms and new rights. We could vote. We could have sex if we wanted to. Now, that's one of the things, think about it. We can have sex when we want to, but there is still that stigma that a woman who has sex whenever she wants to with whomever she wants to is still thought of, you know, in the back of the mind, consciousness of our society as slutty, whereas a man is a stud. It's still, there's still some very backward things that we have to deal with, right? So there was so much good about women's liberation. It did so much for us. There was one little thing that it didn't do for us, though. It didn't teach us how to ground in our feminine power. Because at that time when women's liberation was happening, and I'm 61, so I was 10 when we had the second big, you know, in the 20s, there was the suffragettes. And then in the 60s, there was a huge women's liberation movement. And I was 10 at that time, and I was in it. Boy, I believed in it. I fought, I picketed, I went to rallies, I carried signs and banners. I was a liberated woman. We used a lot of our masculine energy to fight for our rights, which is okay. It was necessary. We needed to. We had to use a lot of masculine force to get our needs met. And also, when we got the career that we wanted, we still might use a lot of our masculine power. The masculine is the doing, the moving, the goal-oriented. So masculine energy is and we all have both. We all have masculine and feminine energy within us. All of us do. And some women are naturally masculine grounded. Most women are feminine grounded, but you know, you can tell if you're masculine or feminine grounded, because if you are masculine grounded in your dating life, you want to do the courting. You want to be the pursuer. If you're feminine grounded, you want to be courted and pursued. If you're feminine grounded, and if you're feminine grounded, you usually have feelings first, logic second. And if you're masculine grounded, you're more logic first and feeling second. But through women's liberation and through having to fight for our rights, we had to use our masculine power because it wasn't safe to be in that vulnerable, open, soft feminine. So it was appropriate. And in your job, in your career, you might be masculine powered, and it's right and appropriate. You're handling things, you're directing, you're controlling, you're moving things forward. That's your masculine energy. In your beloved relationship, though, if you're feminine grounded, you might find your masculine energy tripping you up. You might find your masculine energy causing problems. If you're feminine grounded and your mate, your man, or your female partner, this goes for gay and straight couples, what I'm talking to now. So when I say masculine, the masculine grounded person is not necessarily a man. It could be a masculine grounded woman. In your beloved relationship, if you are feminine grounded and you've been residing in your masculine to stay safe, because a lot of us grew up in a place where it was simply not safe to be in your feminine energy. Like if you grew up in a household where there was any kind of abuse, physical, mental, emotional, sexual abuse, you had to hang out behind a masculine shield to make sure you were safe. If your father left the family, you might have had to adopt a masculine shield, but your masculine energy, your masculine shield isn't your true seat of power if you're truly feminine grounded. And if you're using your masculine energy in your beloved relationship, you find yourself exhausted, nagging, controlling, reminding him to take out the trash over and over and over, being upset that your masculine grounded mate forgot your birthday or doesn't care about Valentine's Day. Has anybody ever had any experiences like that where you felt like you had to nag or beg for love or support or nurturance? Tell me about that.
This is Loretta. I'd say, no, I don't get that upset if they forget a birthday or something like that.
But does it happen often, Loretta? Like every time?
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of, I guess, weird. Maybe a little bit more masculine in a way, that way. You know what I'm saying? Maybe for me, it's not, I don't know. I guess because I keep going back to self, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know. I'm not getting needy. I mean, it's nice if somebody sends flowers and all that, but I hate to say the word needy because that sounds judgy, I guess. But I guess, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I've been fortunate with the men in my life. They've been kind of thoughtful that way. So
They've been what that way? Sorry, what did you say? They've been what?
They've been kind and thoughtful.
Oh, thoughtful that way. Oh, so you might maybe have been picking good kings that are happy to serve you.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe that's you're right about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, and I guess I was raised with 4 sisters, so we had to take out the garbage. We had to help my dad paint. We had to help him with stuff. So I guess I was raised with a lot of male energy.
Oh, so you might have been masculinized in the culture you grew up in.
Yeah, my sister's husband said that we should have been men, my sisters and I.
Oh, that you should have been men.
Exactly.
So you were right. Okay, I get it. Okay, I especially get it because I got raised to be a tomboy. My
okay.
mother and my grandma and her mother, they were all tomboys. And women who wore makeup and fixed their hair were considered vain and frilly.
Oh, okay.
Did anybody
Yeah,
have that?
well, I definitely do makeup. I definitely wear makeup since like 20 pretty regularly. So that way I'm not that frilly, but yeah, I was a little bit of a tomboy myself.
Yeah. So you got raised to be tough and to be a good soldier. Like in my family, we weren't really allowed to stop and have feelings. We had to keep marching forward. Anybody have that? Okay. So you're starting to get a picture of, we live in a masculine society. In fact, most cultures around our globe are masculine dominant. There are some feminine grounded societies on the globe, like Hawaii and Polynesian, like the tropical places have more feminine energy. And there's other places like England and America. You get off the airplane and they say, get in line, queue up, stand over there. And in Hawaii, you get off the plane and somebody comes up to you and gives you a hug and puts a lei on your neck. That's feminine grounded, very warm and inclusive. Okay, so now I want to talk to you about how to use your feminine energy. And for lots of us, you're like a lot of us, well, like me, you got raised to be in the masculine and be a good soldier and do your job and take out the trash and kill the bugs. And when you get into relationship, you might not be receiving as much as you deserve. For some women, as much as you deserve or as much as you desire. So to use your feminine power, what I want you to know about your feminine power is it's one iota stronger than the masculine. So if we're talking Taoism, I'm fortunate to have gotten to study many of the great religions, most of the great religions and many of the obscure ones. And in Taoism, in that yin yang symbol, the 2 paisleys intersecting, the black one and the white one, they represent the world of opposites: inside, outside, hot, cold, high, low, masculine, feminine. And in Taoism, they say that the feminine is 1 iota stronger than the masculine. And they can't be perfectly equal because they would cancel each other out. But they do consider the feminine the stronger one. And because the feminine is stronger, that means we can relax on our throne like the queen that we are and just say yes, thank you, no, thank you, and allow the masculine to serve us. Okay, so I want to tell you about 3 of the ways that you can utilize your feminine power and have more fun in life. Okay, so one of the ways is your voice. That's one way. The second way is your womb, your yoni, your sacred space. And the third way is your yes, thank you, no, thank you. Okay, so your voice, your womb, and your yes, thank you, no, thank you. Now let me ask you guys this. How many of you grew up being told that your menstrual period was something that was icky? Well, actually, let me ask you this. What are some of the nicknames you heard for a menstrual period growing up? Turn on your microphones and tell me some of the nicknames for menstrual periods.
The curse.
The curse. Yep. How about she's on the rag?
On the rag, yeah.
Did someone say another one?
No, I agreed with that, on the rag. That came to my mind, yeah.
What else?
Just your period.
Your period. Oh my God. Do you guys remember this there was a commercial for a while on TV that doctors had developed a pill so that women don't have to have their period the most sacred time of the month. And the commercial went like this: your period doesn't have to be a sentence. The most sacred time in the woman's month, your period, the very thing that makes you a woman, your period doesn't have to be a sentence. How about Aunt Flo come to town?
I've never heard that.
Never heard that one?
No.
Aunt Flo come. How about riding the red dragon? Wait, is that it? Riding the red dragon. Riding the red. I think that. And how about when a man thinks you're being emotional, or men? I've even heard men say this about women at the workplace. She must be on the rag. And oh, not only that, but
It's kind of that time of her month too, right? That comes up.
right.
Yeah.
That time is that time of her month. Then they also decided that the premenstrual time is a disorder. So that time when you are releasing an egg, when your ovaries are releasing an egg and heightening your sensitivity to the universe around you. And your premenstrual, you're PMSing. They decided that was a bad thing. That PMS time, that is a preview of menopause. Menopause is that time when you're stepping into the time of wise woman. A woman has 3 lives: maiden, mother, crone. When you're a maiden, you're playing, you're having fun. When you're mother, you're menstruating, you can make children, you can make a career, you can make whatever you want. The time of crone, you are now delivering back to the world the wisdom that you acquired throughout your whole life. It's a sacred time, crone. It's not revered. In our culture, it's not revered. But when you are having premenstrual symptoms, you are having a preview of menopause. Menopause is when you start swinging the sword and cutting off the heads of all the stupid shit in your life.
I am so glad that my post-menopausal life does not reflect my PMS, because if it did, I would get out the bazookas, not the swords.
Right? Well, so that thank you for saying that, Olivette. Thank you for saying that. Because when you're premenstrual, you are supposed to swing the sword. Have you guys ever seen pictures of the goddess Kali? Kali is the head Dakini. She's the goddess of birth and destruction. And she has a scythe in one hand and a severed head in another. And it's got a little smile on its face, because any man is happy to die into his truth. And Kali will slice off the head of anybody in her realm who is not in their truth. Like if you ever had a baby man in your life, you just whoosh, and she looks scary. She's beautiful and she's black as pitch and she's got the universe in her hair and she's got a long red tongue for drinking blood, and she can see through to the truth with her third eye, a vertical third eye. So one hand is in the bestowal of boon. Even though she's scary, she's got the bestowal of boon. Mudra, which means health and wealth, peace, love, all the goodness you deserve. Even though she's got a necklace of skulls and a belt of arms. And then she's got her fourth hand in the mudra of fear not. So Kali, so when you're experiencing PMS, you're swinging the sword. So women try to roll with things because we're raised in the masculine in our society, we're raised in the masculine. Good soldier, keep marching forward. No matter what's going on around you or it's not okay with you, keep marching, be a good soldier, stuff your feelings down. And then during that time of PMS, when you are pulled, yanked into your feminine energy, your feminine power, you start swinging the sword and you can't put up with the stupid stuff that you've been tolerating in your life. So if you're like me, when I was young, I was dumb about my emotions. I thought my emotions weren't okay. And so I would get PMS and I would come out at my boyfriend and I would say, this is not okay. This is not working for me. And then I would spend the rest of the month apologizing to him for my valid feelings. And then I got older and I realized, it's just what I feel. Everything I feel is okay. So here's what I want you to tell you about using your voice, the feminine voice. So I would start out saying to a boyfriend in a controlling, directing way, I had this lovely boyfriend, John, and he had a big Jeep. One of his cars was a big Jeep, and he rode around like a terror. And he would ride up on the tail of the people in front of us. And I would say to him, slow down, slow down, slow down. And he would never slow down. He'd say, well, these people are dumb. They should step on their gas. They're in the way. They should pull over to the left. They're in the, they should pull to the right. They're in the fast lane. They should be. And then I started learning about the feminine grounding and how to say things from my feminine power. Because me directing and controlling from my masculine never worked on him. So I started reading these materials. I was around 35 years old when I started reading these materials and learning about the masculine feminine balance. So I'm in John's Jeep and he's tearing around like a maniac. He's riding up on the tail of this little old lady. And I just said, I'm scared. And he said, what? Oh, okay. And he slowed right down. So when I was saying it from the masculine, slow down, back off, you're going too fast, he wouldn't respond. But when I told him how it was landing with me, I'm scared. Then he was like, oh, okay. And then he slowed right down. So here's how you can amp that up. Here's how you turn up the volume. So back when I was learning all this stuff, I had a radio show, and I'll never forget the first time I did the show. And at the end of the show, it was on KFNX, and at the end of the show, they give you a copy of your show. And so I'm driving away in my car. I felt like I did a good job. I put the CD in, and I started listening to my show, and I heard my voice. Have you ever heard your voice and felt surprised? Is that what I sound like? I sounded like this. I don't know what I sounded like. I can't remember anymore. I was like, wow, I need to use a different voice. I need to ground in my feminine. So I started learning about the song of the sirens. You guys know who the sirens are, the cousins to the mermaids? Ever heard of the sirens yet? So for those of you who don't know, they're cousins to the mermaids, and they're these beautiful songstresses. They sing. Their voices are irresistible, and they live on the rocks out in the middle of the ocean. And whenever a ship sails by, they sing to the sailors, and the sailors cannot resist their voices, and they leap off the ship and try to swim to the sirens, and they drown. And there they keep them under the sea to serve them forever and all of eternity. Now, after all these men that I dated who wouldn't do for me, they weren't nurturing, they weren't thinking about my wants, needs, and desires. They were more selfish kind of men. I was ready for a sailor who would live under the sea forever and all of eternity to serve me. So I wanted to learn how to do this. So, the story continues that Ulysses, if you want to read more about the sirens, it's in Homer's Odyssey, the Iliad. Ulysses is coming up to where the sirens live, and he says to his crew, fill your ears with sealing wax, seal up your ears, and tie me to the mast. And no matter how much I beg, don't let me free. And they did, and they sailed by the sirens, and Ulysses fought and fought to get free. He's begging and begging his crew. All he wants to do is swim to the sirens. And, they can't hear him, and they won't let him free because that was his instruction. And he was the only living sailor who got to tell tale of the beauty of their voices. Okay, so here's what happens when a woman, especially a woman who's married and has kids, but it can happen with any woman, but a woman who's married with kids, whose husband is maybe focused on his career, and he's doing that. He's focused on supporting the family and not helping out with the kids or the other household things. What ends up happening is she gets that nagging fishwife voice. You never help me put the kids to bed. You drop your laundry on the floor. You drop your dirty clothes. You won't help me with the dishes. You don't. I'm the only one. I work all day. Don't you think I'm the only? Do you think? Why could you? And it sounds like that. It sounds like that. So I do a lot of couples counseling. A lot of couples counseling. I randomly, after 27 years, actually it was, I need to change my bio because it's 27 years. Year before last, I was informed by an organization called Top 3 or Top Best 3. I can't remember, that I'm one of the top 3 marriage counselors in Phoenix. And I was like, really? That's amazing. Considering I've been divorced twice, that's really amazing. But I am randomly a really good couples counselor. So here's what I teach my couples. What they end up doing after a while of frustration, the woman starts saying, you never, and I hate when you. You always leave your clothes on the floor. You never help me with the kids. I hate when you just collapse on the couch with a beer. When I still have to, dinner has to be made and bathe the kids and put the kids to bed. You never, and I hate when you. And they do the nagging fishwife voice. So I teach them to do this. So imagine you're sitting there with your man. And this is the only way I used to teach it, but then I figured out how to amp it up about a year ago. You're going to use I love when you instead. So you're going to drop down into your womb. Now we're connecting your voice and your womb. Remember the 3 ways you're going to use your feminine power: your voice, your womb, and your yes, thank you, no, thank you. So now we're connecting your voice and your womb. You're going to drop down into your yoni, which is Sanskrit for vagina. It means sacred space. You're going to drop down into your womb and you're going to say to him, I love when you help me with the dishes. It is so hot when you put the kids to bed. When you mow the lawn, that really turns me on. So I'll tell you a little story about this, little segue. I had a client years ago. Actually, it was a woman in a women's group I used to have, this really fun women's group. And she raised her hand. She said, I have a problem I need to work on. My husband, he's a good guy. He works 50, 60 hours a week. He will never mow the lawn. And our lawn looks like hell. And whenever I say, just let me hire lawn care, he says, no, we're not spending our hard-earned money on lawn care. I can do it. And then she says, but you never do. And then the fight starts. So I was teaching her how to do the siren voice. So we devised a plan. And then she came back the next week to women's group and I said, how did it go? And she said, well, it was Saturday morning. I was coming down the stairs in my sexy nightie he cannot resist. By the way, women shut down sexually when they don't feel like their man is helping them or supporting them. There goes the sex. And if you guys want to hear more about that, I have a Fountain Hills TED Talk in December. Just let me know if you're interested and I'll let you know when and where that is. Well, it's in Fountain Hills, but I'll let you know exactly when and where. But she said, I was coming down the stairs in my sexy nightie right as he is coming from the kitchen with a bowl of chips and his Coke, heading toward the couch to watch a football game, which of course is 6 hours because there's a pregame, there's a game, and there's a postgame. Who made that up? Anyway, she said, I slinked right up in front of him and stopped his body with my body, and I whispered in his ear. And I said, when you're mowing the lawn and your muscles are sticking out. I didn't catch that. I'm not talking to you, Alexa. She goes, She
wants to know, though.
When you're mowing the lawn and your muscles are sticking out like that and you're getting all sweaty, that really turns me on. And she goes, he mowed the lawn twice in 1 week. Now, you know what men think? I mean, men actually think that women get angry and withhold sex. Men actually think that. I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of men. They think that their woman is angry and withholding sex. It's not that at all. It's that when a woman doesn't feel loved, cherished, and supported, like her man really cares about how she feels, and like she's exhausted too, she begins to shut down sexually. It's not, I'm mad, so I'm withholding sex, but that's how it lands with men that don't understand this. So anyway, back to the siren's voice. When I'm teaching couples this in session, and I'm teaching them to use I love when you instead of you always, you never, and I hate when you, I just recently, as I said, learned how to amp it up. So here's what I have them do. Is anybody in a relationship right now? In a beloved relationship? Okay, so you guys are gonna try this and you're gonna report back to us and let us know how it goes, okay? So anything you want. It's, oh, can somebody give me an example that you wish your mate would do, but you feel like you have to remind them or nag them, or they just don't get it and you maybe haven't told them yet?
Mine is
Anybody?
the driving thing.
The driving thing.
Yeah, and we've gone through. I've tried what you said. It's scaring me, and he'll just look at me and say, "I don't know what you're afraid of. I don't know why you're scared," and push on the gas even further. Nothing works other than just not getting in the car with him.
How does he feel about you not getting in the car with him? How does he feel about you saying, I'm not going with you?
He thinks I'm being ridiculous.
Let me see. How could we do that? Oh, okay. So let's see if this will work while you're driving. Okay. And also, I just want to say, Lynn, I do appreciate and understand that once a woman has asked so many times that it's now you're frustrated and angry. Yeah. And then when you set a healthy boundary, Lynn, and just said, I'm not riding with you, he called that ridiculous.
I've gotten the car
but then you
before.
didn't. What was
I've
that?
gotten out of the car and walked before.
Did he get mad or what happens then?
He gets embarrassed and ashamed when that happens, because that's like when he's, when there's road rage and it's just, I don't feel safe in the car. Then I think he gets embarrassed and he'll be good for about a week or two, and then it just reverts back.
I wonder if this work gun method is this translating to any other areas in your life where he's treating you like your feelings don't matter?
No, not really.
Okay, it's mostly here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So two things popped in for me. One is I'm going to tell you the method, and the other is you might need a reward. Like, like a positive, like he's 6 years old. You might need a reward. Like, you give the kid a sticker. If you will drive properly, you get a sticker. Only it would have to be something better than a sticker because he's a grown-ass man. Okay. So Lynn, here's how it goes. You're in the car and he starts to speed. And you heard Counselor Jane say, instead of using I hate when you always, and you never, you're going to use I love when you. I love when you, I'm going to make up a sentence, but you would make up your own sentence that would fit for you, Lynn. I love when you drive as if you're taking care of some precious cargo, me. I love that. Okay, so I'm just going to make up that would be the sentence, because you have to find out what would be your truest, purest, most like string plucking, heartstring plucking thing to say. Like it's best if you find a sentence that'll pluck the heartstring. Okay, so hold on, I gotta change the aspect. Okay, so what it is, Liz, but think back to the last time. What's your husband's name?
John.
Okay, think back to the Johns must be fast drivers.
I know.
Okay. Think back to the last time you and John were in bed, you were making love, and something was happening that was just so wonderful for you, or the two of you, and it was making your whole body ring like a bell, just reverberating. Can you remember? You don't have to tell us what it is, but you got that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Okay, now you have it in your head. Allow that memory to travel down into your body. Let the memory come back to your body. Have you got that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Now, you would lean over And you're gonna practice on us, Lynn. But you don't have to do this part. You would lean over and you would put your arms around John's neck and you would whisper into his ear as softly as you can. I love when you drive as if you're taking care of some really precious cargo. Me. Okay, so you got the memory in your body. Keep that sensuous, sexual memory in your body. And now whisper that to us.
Okay. I love when you drive like you're taking care of a very precious cargo. Me.
Oh, that was nice. That was nice. So I wonder if that would work while he's already in it. Because, once they're in it, they're sort of committed, but it depends. Oh, I wonder if you put your hand on his crotch while you said that. Would that help?
It probably would.
So then he has driving carefully with you in the car associated with something really positive. So maybe, will you try that and let us know how that turns out?
We'll all be with bated breath.
Good.
I'll text you right after.
Good. Thank you for being our guinea pig, Lynn. Thank you so much. Okay, so we got the voice, the womb, and the yes, thank you, no, thank you. So when we go down to the womb, this is what we're talking about, grounding in your womb. And if you want to hear more about that, like yoni power, sacred space, the power of your womb, which is really a divine magical portal from whence all souls emulate. So every soul comes down through a woman's body, through the portal to the divine. That's the yoni. The womb, the menstrual period, the woman's cycle, the menopause, it's all way more powerful than women realize. Your womb. So this is something that your man does not have. He doesn't have it. And your womb, in your womb, your Native Americans call your eggs with your wisdom stones. And each month when a woman menstruates, they say you're birthing your wishes, dreams, and desires through your wisdom stones. And it is such a mysterious, desirable, mystical place for the masculine that he's programmed with a compulsion to enter the gates of heaven, to know the feminine way. But most of us are indoctrinated into our sex life by a man who's in the immature masculine. And so instead of having our first sexual experience be where it should be, our first sexual experience is down here in the masculine energy, which means it's goal-oriented. The goal is the orgasm. Feminine-oriented sex is round, like the vagina, like the yoni, no beginning, no end. It's not goal-oriented, it's purpose-oriented. So that's why in teachings like the tantric sex, which is also called the feminine way, everything is slowed down, not always slow, but there's an entire body experience. We're not just going for the gold, which is like masculine sex. So, okay, any questions about using the song of the sirens instead of nagging and dropping down into your womb? Your womb, just know that your womb, your sacred space, your yoni, has a mystical power over men. And I don't mean that in a manipulative sense. I don't mean you're using your sexuality to manipulate your man. No, I mean you're using your feminine power. Because isn't it more fun? Like my job is to be your fairy godmother and for your life to be more fun and juicy than dry and naggy. So isn't it more fun to say, I love Love that when you slow down and take care of me. That just turns me on. Then to say, slow down, you're driving like a maniac. It's so dangerous. Ah! That doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to you. It doesn't feel good to him. I want you to feel better more of the time. And if you want to know more about this, Mama Gina has these amazing books. I would say Regina. So just look up Mama Gina, Gena. Like one of her books is Mama Gina's. You're gonna think it's a dumb title, but it's a great book. Mama Gina's School of Womanly Arts, for instance. And if you want to know more about the power of your womb, your yoni, your sacred space, read Mama Gina. She's brilliant. She's brilliant and funny. Mama Gina, anyway, that's all I'll say about her. She's a little bit blue, a little bit racy. I was going to tell you something she says, but I'll save it for later. Text me if you want to hear what she says, the racy thing that she says. It's hilarious. Okay, so I love when the masculine and the feminine. Okay, so to relax on your throne, you learn how to just be in your power, the yes, thank you, the no, thank you. You've got your voice, your womb, and your yes, thank you, and no, thank you. When we grow up in a masculinized society, we learn to explain ourselves a lot and like fight for the right to feel whatever we're feeling. And if you're explaining yourself a lot, you're giving away your power. You're an adult. You don't have to explain yourself. You're just going to say yes, thank you, or no, thank you. If someone's trying to draw you into a circular conversation or a debate, we're going to take right, wrong, good, bad out of your vocabulary, and we're going to use works, doesn't work, work, doesn't work. Okay. So you're going to relax on your throne and you're just going to say, yes, thank you, no, thank you, instead of directing and controlling. And your man or your masculine grounded mate is going to go out and fight the world, slay the dragon, bring you an egg. Hello, my queen. I brought you this egg, this dragon's egg to make omelets with. And you're going to say, dragon's eggs. Yeah, thank you. I'd love a dragon's egg omelet. Or he might bring back a tiger toenail. That's gross. I'm sorry, you guys. I would never hurt a dragon or a tiger. But just for example, and you would say, no, thank you. And so now I'm going to tell you the story of the Snake Prince. And then, oh gosh, if there's time, we're going to have questions. I can't hear you, Ro.
I was just going to tell you we've got 10 minutes and you're good.
Okay, that's just enough time. Okay. This is the story of the Snake Prince. In a land not so far away, there lived a king with 2 sons. And the younger of the 2 sons was in love and wanted to wed. But the custom in that land was the eldest must marry first. So the king sent a proclamation throughout the land, inviting all the young maidens to come and wed the prince. What he didn't mention was his older son had a curse on him, and he was a giant serpent locked away in the towers of the castle. All the young maidens saw the proclamation, and they thought, prestige, money, gowns. I'll be a princess. Who doesn't want that? So they lined up. And the custom in that land was the wedding night was before the wedding day. And so one by one, the maidens were shown into the chambers of the Snake Prince. The door would close behind her, and she would stare into the darkness. And here would come the Snake Prince slithering out the darkness, stand up huge and tall, and he would say to her, take off your shirt. And the maiden would be terrified. But she would think in the back of her mind, well, there's money and prestige and gowns, and I really want to be a princess. So she would take off her shirt. And the Snake Prince would coil around her and eat her. And they were shown into his chambers one by one, just like that. And one by one, they were all gone. except for one wise maiden who lived out in the woods with her father. So they sent a messenger out to him. And when she came in from her morning chores, her father said, get your things together because at dusk, you're going to the palace. You're going to marry the prince. Now she was a wise maiden, so she checked inside. No, I don't know him. I don't want to marry him. And the father said, well, we need the money, so you have to. So she checked inside again. No, I don't know him. I don't want to marry him. And her father said, well, I'm your father, and you have to do what I say. So she bowed, and she went into her room, and she started to sew a wedding shirt. And when that one was done, she got a feeling to sew another and another until she had sewn 7 wedding shirts. And just at dusk, she got finished with the last one, put them all on, just as the guards were coming to the palace to fetch her, to go to the palace to wed the prince. She paused at the door of his rooms, and she said to the servants, bring me a bucket of sweet milk and leave it outside the door. And the servants, they said, okay. And they showed her into his rooms and closed the door behind her. She stood staring into the darkness with her back to the door. And here he came, slithering out of the darkness. He stood up huge and tall, the snake prince. He stood up 8 feet tall and looked down at her and said, take off your shirt. And she was terrified. She could feel her heart beating in her throat. But she remembered herself. She didn't forget herself. And she said, okay, I'll take off my shirt. Right after you take off your skin. And he said, what? No one's asked that of me before. And he was intrigued. So he started to peel off his skin, and it was a new skin. So he's shrieking in pain. And after he got that skin off, he said, okay, now take off that shirt. So she did. And under it, he saw the next shirt. And he said, take off that shirt. And she said, okay, I'll take off this shirt. Right after you take off that skin. And he said, what? No one in my life has asked this much of me before. Now he's even more intrigued by her power and her strength and her presence of self. And so he started peeling off the next skin, and it was an even newer skin. So he's shrieking even louder in pain. And it went like that back and forth until she was down to her last shirt. And she knew it was her last shirt. And he said to her, take off that shirt. And she sensed that death was near. And she said, okay, I'll take off this shirt. Right after you take off that skin. And he said, what? No one in my life has ever asked this much before, ever. And he was invested because of all he'd gone through already. And so he started peeling off what turned out to be his last skin. And he's shrieking in pain. And then he collapsed to the floor, a mass of white pulp. And she reached outside the door and she brought in the bucket of sweet milk. And she lifted his body into the bucket and began bathing him in the sweet milk. And as she did, a tear of compassion fell from her eye and hit his body. And when it did, it broke the spell and the curse was lifted. And he was transformed into his former self, a beautiful prince. And they saw each other and they loved each other already because of all they'd gone through for one another. And they wed and lived together forever in bliss. And that's the story of the Snake Prince. And I'll just say briefly, it exemplifies the masculine must give first and more. It is a feminine trait, a flaw, to give too much and take the relationship out of balance and then feel unappreciated The feminine must get through her guilt and anxiety of not giving first. She has to stand at the door and say, yes, right after you do this for me. To the feminine, that feels selfish, but it is not. It is self-full. And it is the only way to break the curse on the head of the masculine. So thank you for listening. I don't know if there's any time for questions, Ro. We can't hear you.
I don't usually unmute myself. I'm used to being fully on.
Oh yeah.
I hope everybody enjoyed Jane's message as much as I just love her. I just think her message is so powerful and so truthful. When I listen to her, I just get that register of this is truth. This is so truthful. And yeah,
I forgot.
go ahead.
So there's that story and all about the masculine feminine balance on this CD that I've got. It's on my website, but I want to give it to you guys for free. So if you get my, it's called Women's Lib Sucks, the feminine movement. So I don't know if you guys get my phone number from Ro, or if you.
I'll make sure everybody gets.
That's one way.
Yeah,
And
I'll make sure everyone, I'll send an email out with all your info.
Yeah, you can friend me on Facebook. And there's a Tuesday night study group here every week. And we talk about everything. And I have a Tantra workshop coming up. So if you have a beloved and you want to learn Tantric sex, you're welcome to come.
Awesome. Okay, any questions for Jane? Anybody have any questions?
This is Loretta. I don't have any questions, so I do want to apologize first for the confusion earlier. I had an unfortunate business situation come up that I had to handle, so I apologize for the noise and rudeness. And I just want to say this was very good. It was very informative and really a lot of fun. And seeing, I don't know, it was fabulous information. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's my pleasure and my honor.
Yeah, it was great. It was very good. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
What is your Tuesday night group, Jane?
Oh, thank you for asking. So it's every Tuesday night for now. It used to be first and third, but right now we're doing it every week. And there's a few people that come in, and then if we have more people or too many people, we'll be doing more people coming in on Zoom. It's 7 to 8:30. It's $25. I live in Midtown Phoenix. We do it in my big living room, dining room area. And we talk about all different kinds of teachings. Right now we're covering the 6 obstacles to higher awareness from the 4th way teachings. And the 4th way is Gurdjieff, Ouspensky. It has its roots in Sufism. It's really fascinating stuff. So it is, you can tell my style is not didactic. I'm not just talking at the students. I want to hear from you. And when we're doing our study group, I'll do a teaching, or we do a check-in and how's everything going, and here's a little teaching, and how does this show up in your life, or do you need support with anything? And the group is very friendly and supportive of one another. So you're welcome.
What's the size of the group? How large is the group?
Right
usually?
now, there's about 5, sometimes 6 people in the living room, and then every now and then we'll have 1 or 2 on Zoom coming in as well. So yeah, not too big. I'm big on safety and making sure everybody's safe, and there's chairs that are spread out around the room, so no one's sitting right next to each other. And some people do prefer, when we have more like 6 people in the room, some people do prefer to keep their mask on the whole time, but that's up to you. We respect whatever you choose.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
So when you're talking about men giving more at the beginning, are you talking about acts of service, or like buying dinner or flowers, or all of the above?
All of the above.
This is
All
my
of it.
other beautiful daughter, Elizabeth, coming in from
Yeah, I'm at work,
Manhattan.
so I'm trying to like
Oh,
mute
hi,
myself during most of it.
Wow. Yeah, kind of everything and anything.
Okay, thank you.
Including sex. You know how some young men are not trained to put their woman's pleasure first, or some men are trained, they put their woman's pleasure first as a trophy, like I did that, to boost their own ego. They're not fully in the present moment, just like drinking her in. And sadly, some young men are trained that, and young women are trained that the woman's orgasm doesn't matter. So a lot of women, young women, think they're unable to have an orgasm simply because they were young, they've been with young men, and young men think, why is it taking you so long? And then the woman feels like something's wrong with me because it takes me so long to have an orgasm. But no, it's okay to slow down and take your time. So everything, including sex. In the Tantra, we have a saying, the woman comes first and more.
Good saying.
We like this?
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So awesome.
Oh, I just wanted to ask about the snake prince. Like, where is this story from?
That is such a good question. It's such a good question, Selena. So I heard a story like this story years ago, like probably almost 27 years ago, like at least 25 years ago. And I remember hearing the story and thinking, wow, I think it was right in the beginning of my counseling career. So probably about 27 years ago. And I remember thinking, this is a great story. It just needs to be tweaked a little bit for it to make the point that I really wanted to make. And so I can't remember where it came from. It might be an Inuit story. And, or it could be that I made up in my head that I heard it somewhere and changed it. Because usually I remember where I got something. But I'm 61 and I've had chemotherapy 15 years ago, so that changed my memory. So it might be, it's entirely possible that I made this story up.
It was good.
It's
Thank
so
you.
good.
Thank you. I might have heard, you know what? I think the story that, oh, you know what? John Bly, or that might have been a different story. That might have been the Stone Child. That would have been Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who wrote Women Who Run with the Wolves. Oh, you know, it was the Skeleton Woman that I heard from John Bly. I might have made the story up.
I love the element of compassion in it.
Yes.
The what?
I love the element of compassion in it. I think that in my own relationship with my husband of 18 years, it's when I get in touch with my own femininity and my compassion for all of his rough edges, that then things melt and become so loving. Yeah.
Yes. I love that too, Tamara. The tear of compassion falls from her eye and hits his body, and the spell is broken.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what other part? I was just telling Ro before you all came on the phone, because I was listening to my CD this morning to prepare for you guys and listening to the story of the Snake Prince, which is on the CD. And I never really stopped to think about the part where her father tells her, well, you have to do what I say. You have to, I'm your father, you have to do what I say. And the masculine, the patriarchy dominating a woman's life. And even though that was at work in her life, she still found her way to stay in her power and journey the path in that power, in her feminine power. Checking inside is the feminine. What do I think about that? No, I don't want to marry him. Well, you have to, because I'm your father. Okay. She finds her way through the patriarchy, through the masculine dominance, still in her feminine power and strength. So I never thought about that until this morning when I was getting ready for you guys.
I'm so glad we offered you that insight. Isn't she awesome, you guys? Let's give her a round of applause. She's so wise through all of her experiences. Yay. And, you know, I do believe that in our failures, right? Because you've been married twice before, you've been divorced. We learn so much through those experiences.
Oh, and, God, if only I knew then what I know now.
Yeah, yeah. So I encourage you guys to reach out to her if anybody feels led to do that, to go to maybe a Tuesday night class or wherever you're drawn. But thank you, Jane. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having me, Rose. Thank you,
Yes.
everybody, for giving me your time and your ear and your heart. It was wonderful
Yes.
talking with you.
Yeah, and it's
Thank
so
you, Jane.
good to
Very
see
good.